I started this lesson 2 Sunday nights ago, and I thought, well, I'll probably just end it there. These are words of wisdom on Proverbs about being careful what you say. And there's over 100 verses on this. I got through about half of them on one Sunday night, and when that was over, a person said, I won't say this real general, a person said, I want you to do the rest of that. You need to do the rest of that for us. So I'm going to do the rest of that to fulfill that request. And you know what? That person's not here. That's always happened. But it'll probably be on YouTube. Okay, so maybe that person can watch it on YouTube. Don't try to guess who it is. That wouldn't be fair. But maybe that person was speaking for others that would like to see this too. And these are, in a way, they're light. It's kind of a light. You don't have to go into deep theological discussions over these. These proverbs are wise sayings, and sometimes they're not. Sometimes the truth is just laying right there. It's almost like, well, you wouldn't even think somebody had to say that. It's so obvious. But sometimes it's almost like trying to solve a riddle, what that proverb, and sometimes the meaning is surprising on that. But they're kind of fun. And when you read them, they strike a chord. There's something about them that is delightful. And oftentimes, what that is something called parallelism. It's laying down a line, a truth, and then it follows that with another line of truth that either contrasts or complements it, and it just sounds clever when you read that. So with that, and it just kind of sticks even when the meaning is obvious. And so we're going to watch for that going through Proverbs. It goes on this, be careful, little mouth, what you say. And 100 verses from Proverbs on that. These are the ones we went over. I divided those into eight different categories. Here they are. We talked about froward words, words that are a snare, words of truth and falsehood, and words of foolishness and wisdom. Well, let's look at these last 4 categories here tonight. And these are my categories. You could probably divide these up a little different. But let's think about words that we say. Now, there is another whole set of proverbs that I had to glean from this and pull from this on being careful what we hear. And some of these kind of overlap, but I'm trying to focus on the ones on be careful what we say. Let's talk about words of good and words of harm. All right, here we have one. Proverbs 10:11, the first one I came across that started me down this path of collecting these together. The mouth of the righteous man is a well of life, but violence covereth the mouth of the wicked. So you got the mouth of the righteous, the mouth of the wicked. See how that kind of just flows like there? And then the center part, the well of life and violence. Well of life and violence. When you think of a well of living water, it's not just a cistern of stagnant water. It's where you dug that well and like you hit a spring and living water, and it continues to refresh. Every time you return to that well, the water is fresh and refreshing. And so also the mouth of the righteous man. Just the words coming out of his mouth continue to refresh, and then contrast that with the violence on the mouth of the wicked. Let's go to Proverbs 10:20. The tongue of the just. Look at the tongue of the just and the heart of the wicked. Well, already that just kind of sings to you, doesn't it? The tongue of the just is as choice silver. The heart of the wicked is of little worth. It shows that kind of what we speak with our tongue. See, it comes from the heart. And choice silver. Now, silver has different qualities, and this is the choice. This is the best. Contrast that with little worth in the heart of the wicked. Proverbs 10:21. The lips of the righteous feed many. Well, it's talking about the words that come from the lips. And you know what it feeds? It feeds their soul. That's what it does. But now look, fools die for want of wisdom, a lack of wisdom. The fool here is the one that doesn't receive the words of the righteous. It's there for them. They just don't partake of it. And so they're going to starve for want of wisdom. Proverbs 11:9. And I want you to remember this one for another one or two coming up, because some of these are similar. The hypocrite with his mouth destroyeth his neighbor, but through knowledge shall the just be delivered. You know, Jesus said, blessed are ye when men shall say all manner of evil against you falsely. For my name's sake, rejoice and be exceeding glad. God's going to protect you. And you don't, if you're doing what's right, you really don't have to worry about what folks are saying. There's going to be someone going to slander you somewhere, but just don't worry about it. Because you're going to be protected, and through knowledge the just will be delivered. Proverbs 11:11. Now this one, I may have misread this one, but this is what I thought when I read 11:11. By the blessing of the upright, the city is exalted, but it is overthrown by the mouth of the wicked. Come here. I got a little money for you here. Can you tell me which is the least offended gate in this city? Can you tell me that? Oh yeah, I'll tell you that for that money. And then see, that's where they can make their attack, or where's the water source of this city? How can I get to that? So I can take and pay them off and get. Now that might have been, that's what I thought of when I thought of this proverb. And it reminded me of a little saying that my mother-in-law learned when she was just a young lady, just a teenager, working in Oak Ridge, where they were making the nuclear weapon, the atomic bomb, and no one was supposed to talk about what they were doing. I mean, everybody had their job, but you couldn't talk. You'd ride the bus over there and back. You could talk about things, but don't talk about your work. And they said, loose lips sink ships. That's what they said. Loose lips sink ships. So don't talk about your work. And that's why they trying to keep all this secret. Well, it's overthrown by the mouth of the wicked. The words of the wicked are to lie in wait for blood, but the mouth of the upright shall deliver them. See, that's similar to the one we had with the hypocrites' words, isn't it? And being delivered from those evil words. Proverbs 12:14. A man shall be satisfied with good by the fruit of his mouth. Now, we're going to read a lot about fruit here. And I think this is talking about the things he says, what's produced by his mouth. So a man will be satisfied with good by the fruit of his mouth, and by the recompense of a man's hands shall be rendered to him. You got the mouth and the hands in that proverb. Proverbs 12:18. I'm going to have to keep going to get through these, so I'm not going to dwell too long on any one. There is that speaketh like the piercings of a sword. Ever heard somebody say something and you just felt, oh, that hurt. That hurt. Their words just like piercing of a sword. But the tongue of the wise is health. See that contrast? I'm going to come up to this in a little bit, but you know, we might say sticks and stones may hurt my bones. I may break my bones, and words will never hurt me, but that's not so, is it? Words hurt like the piercing of a sword. Proverbs 13:2. A man shall eat good by the fruit of his mouth. There's the fruit of his mouth again. The soul of the transgressor shall eat violence. What you going to have? What are you going to eat? What's going to be put back in your mouth? Well, that's going to depend some on what you say, isn't it? 14:23. Profit and penury. You might think poverty. Poverty. In all labor there is profit, but the talk of the lips tendeth only to penury, only to poverty. Poverty. There. See? Proverbs 15:1. A soft answer turns away wrath. Now the rest of that's good. Grievous words stir up anger. We know that. I mean, if someone says something to you and they're all angry and they're upset and boy, you fire back at them, what do you got? Well, you about got a fight going now. But a soft answer? How many times have we used that proverb? And that's what you need to remember when someone comes at you and they're all upset and they're ready to they're wanting a fight, and you can think of a soft answer. Say, well, I hadn't thought of it that way. All of a sudden, you say something like that, and it's not that you're acknowledging they have a point or anything, but I hadn't given it any thought. Or, well, I didn't want you to feel that way about it. Tell me more about this. Something like that. And all of a sudden, and it just kind of, and they calm right down and can discuss it. So remember that. Soft answer can turn away wrath. A wholesome tongue is a tree of life. I just thought of the tree of life that was in the Garden of Eden when I read that. A wholesome tongue is a tree of life, perverseness therein. See the difference in wholesomeness and perverseness. Perverseness therein is a breach of the Spirit. Proverbs 15:23. A man hath joy by the answer in his mouth. And then this, a word spoken in due season, how good it is. How good it is. Every now and then, someone says the right thing at the right time, in the right way, and how good it is. Oh, I wish I knew how to do that. Now, you won't do it all the time, but every now and then it comes out just right. When I read that, how good it is. Do you remember Jackie Gleason? Does anybody remember Jackie Gleason? How sweet it is. You remember that? You know who else used to, I probably shouldn't bring this up in sermon. It's not sermon material. Maybe help you remember the proverb. You know who else used to say that? How sweet it is. What other entertainer said that? String Bean. Well, anyway, you don't have to worry about that. But how good it is. You could almost say how sweet it is right there. All right. Proverbs 16:1. The preparations of the heart in a man and the answer of the tongue is from the Lord. How do you know how to say the right thing at the right time, at the right way? How do you know how to do that? How come that happens sometimes? It's because of the heart. And if we'll spend time with God's Word and spend time with the Lord and get to thinking and feeling like God does, then it's easy to say the right thing at the right time, at the right way. That's the preparation going on in the heart. And it comes from the Lord. Now, pleasant words are as a honeycomb and look sweet to the soul and health to the bones. Well, words can really help, can't they? Sweet words, just like the drippings off of a honeycomb. When we were in Israel one night, they laid out all this food for us every evening. And one time they just took the honeycomb and set it up on a stand, and honey just dripped off of it on a tray underneath. And you could just scoop it out under that tray onto your biscuit or whatever you want your honey for. And just think of the drippings of a honeycomb. Well, words can be like that. There can be sweet for the soul and health to the bones. An ungodly man diggeth up evil, and his lips there is as a burning fire. Some people are just looking for stuff, aren't they? They want to just dig it up. I remember that little country music song, Digging Up Bones. They're fooling with them, better left alone. And some people, boy, if I could dig up some evil and then tell it. And that's where words can harm. A man's belly shall be satisfied with the fruit of his mouth. There's the fruit of your mouth again. And with the increase of his lips shall he be filled. And then this one, you got to remember this one. You don't think what you say is important? Death and life are in the power of the tongue. There are people alive now because of what someone has said. And there are people that are dead now because of what someone has said. That's how powerful the tongue can be. And they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof. Proverbs 24:26. Every man shall kiss his lips that giveth the right answer. And I hadn't thought about that. Someone say something, man, that was so good. I just wanted to kiss your lips. Well, I hadn't thought on that, but I can understand that proverb. They just said it so well and so right that I could just kiss their lips for saying it that way. You've probably got something in your house like this, some kind of pretty artwork. Here's one. A word fitly spoken is like apples of gold and pictures of silver. Some of us have those words fitly spoken hanging up in our wall, don't we? Some nice saying, and it's very artistically done, and we've just took that, and that's a decoration on our wall. It's up there like apples of gold and pictures of silver. The right thing to say is an earring of gold and an ornament of fine gold, so is a wise reprover upon an obedient ear. If we're going to reprove, if we can learn to be a wise reprover, sometimes our reproof does more harm than good. If we could be a wise reprover, the obedient ear, that's just like a little treasure for their ear, to hear a wise reproof. Proverbs 25:13, as the cold of snow in a time of harvest. Now the harvest is a hot, dry time. And then to get a snow, how refreshing that would be. For some reason, I think of someone running up to Mount Hermon and running back to you with a snow cone, in the time of harvest. But anyway, as the cold of snow in the time of harvest, so is a faithful messenger to them that send him. But he refresheth the soul of his masters. Burning lips and a wicked heart are like a potsherd covered with silver dross. Just think that little broken piece of pot, but it's covered with silver, but it's still just a broken piece of pot covered with silver, isn't it? Burning lips with a wicked heart. There is a generation whose teeth are as swords, and their jaw teeth as knives, to devour the poor from off the earth and the needy from among men. Talebearers. Let's go to number 6, talebearers. And I'm going to start with this one. It goes 2 Peter 2 and verse 1. There were false prophets also among the people, even as there shall be false teachers among you who shall probably bring in damnable heresies. Well, what's that about? Fellas, so where's the Bible say it's wrong to gossip? And the old fella said, well, it talks about those damnable hearsays. Well, this is heresies. This is not hearsays, but that's what gossip is, isn't it? It's hearsay. Have you ever heard that expression? Someone says, well, now I hearsay, and then they'll tell you something. That's not very credible information, is it? Hearsays. So let's talk about talebearers. A talebearer revealeth secrets, but he that is of a faithful spirit concealeth the matter. Oh, I heard this awful story about these preachers. These 4 preachers got together and they said, we need to get together and talk some serious talk about our own failings. And they got together, and one said, well, I'll start. Says, I got a gambling addiction. It's gotten out of control, and I need your prayers. Said, in fact, I've been stealing money from the contribution to cover some of my gambling debts. And another preacher said, well, now I've got this pornography problem. And it's really, but in fact, it's caused me to commit adultery time or two. This pornography, I need help dealing with this. And another preacher said, well, I've got this alcohol problem. Nobody knows it because I leave town, but I go over to this other town. And boy, sometimes I wonder how I'm going to find my way home. And the 4th preacher said, well, I got a problem too. My problem's gossip. I just can't keep a secret. All right, so talebearers. Someone entrusts you with a secret, you need to keep it, don't you? Don't you? So, A talebearer revealeth secrets. He that is a faithful spirit concealeth the matter. Proverbs 18:8. The words of a talebearer are as wounds. They go down to the innermost parts of the belly. Proverbs 20:19. He that goeth about as a talebearer revealeth secrets. Now, meddle not with him that flattereth with his lips. I started to gather the ones on flattery. But that's more about what you hear than what you say. But a flatterer, beware the flatterer. Now, compliments are good, but flattery is manipulative. And sometimes you may not be able to tell the difference, but people try to win your confidence through flattery. And now they got something on you, and they go tell it, see. Proverbs 25:9-10. Debate thy cause with thy neighbor himself. Now, if you got a problem with your neighbor, go to your neighbor. You don't go all over the world with it. It said, discover not a secret to another, lest he that heareth put thee to shame, and thine infirmity turn not away. How many of you have heated your house with wood? Where no wood is, there the fire goeth out. You can't heat your house with one log of wood. It's hard to keep a log burning if it's just one log. You got to have two. And then when the logs are together, they kind of feed off each other and keep that fire going, you know. I tell you, a tattler, a talebearer, he needs somebody to talk to. Don't be that other log, but that talebearer to talk to. And don't start adding to it. Well, I heard. Well, you know what I heard? And then, buddy, that just builds it. So the wood is the fire goes out. Don't be the wood. Don't be the other log of wood for this person. So where there's no talebearer, the strife ceaseth. Proverbs 26:22. Here it is. Words of a talebearer are as wounds, and they go down in the innermost parts of the belly. We had one almost just like that, but there's that sticks and stones then. Yes, words do hurt. So be careful what you say. Now, I've got this one. These are the only four under kings and witnesses. And it seemed like maybe the not right category, but I'm going to go ahead and include it here. But they're just these four. But the words of kings are really especially important, aren't they? You know, anybody can say anything about how the economy is doing, but if the president says something, the stock market goes wild, doesn't it? I mean, the kings really have to watch their speech. And they really want to hear the right things if they're going to be good kings. So divine sentence is in the lips of the king. His mouth transgresseth not in judgment. Well, the king said it. That's going to be the way it is. There's nobody really there to judge him. So what the words of a king are mighty weighty. Righteous lips are the delight of kings, and they love them that speak right. Kings have to make a lot of decisions based on what they hear from others. Boy, if they'll tell them right, that is so good for a king to hear it right. An ungodly witness scorneth judgment, and the mouth of the wicked devoureth iniquity. Witnesses in judgment. I tell you, if you're going to be a witness, you got to tell the truth, or you can pervert judgment, can't you? Proverbs 25:15. By long forbearing is a prince persuaded. Sometimes the prince, the ruler here, they're not going to make quick decisions, but just bear with them over long. You can persuade them over time. And then a soft tongue breaketh his bone. A soft tongue. You really want to come down hard on somebody, it might just harden them. But a soft tongue, that can land on someone with more force than the harsh words. A soft tongue breaketh the bone. And then 8, curses and praise. Words of cursing, words of praise. Now this cursing is putting evil on someone is what that's talking about. We're saying words that I wish they would have this harm come to them. And then words of praise. Whoso curseth his father and his mother, his lamp shall be put out in outer darkness. Some children just don't appreciate their parents, do they? I tell you, they're not going to be perfect parents. But it's uncomely, isn't it, for children to be pointing out the fault, especially grown children. Grow up. Okay, if you want to, there's no parent going to be perfect, and you can find fault with them and parade that out there, but just grow up and take responsibility for yourself. They raised you to an adult, and it's time for you to use your own head and grow up. Proverbs 24 through 25. He that saith to the wicked, thou art righteous, him shall the people curse. Nations shall abhor him. But to them that rebuke him shall be delight, and a good blessing shall come upon them. Don't tell me the wicked is all right, the wicked's good. That's not good. It takes strength sometimes to point out wickedness. And so you need to do that. As the bird by wandering, as the swallow by flying, so the curse causeless shall not come. You curse someone and there's no cause for that, don't expect them to be cursed. It's just like the bird's going to fly away, the swallow's going to, and it's not going to have an effect because there was no cause for that. Proverbs 27:2. Let another man praise thee. You ever know people always bragging about how good they are, how much they've done? Well, what a great thing. You all sure are glad that I live around here. Man, I have done so much for this community and all that. And you just get tired of hearing it, don't you? Even if they've done good, you don't want to hear it anymore. Let somebody else do that praise. Let somebody else praise you. Let another man praise thee, not thy own mouth, a stranger, not thy own lips. Proverbs 27:14. He that blesseth his friend with a loud voice, rising early in the morning, it shall be counted a curse to him. Well, I found that out after I got married. I am a morning person. And if it was just me and I woke up in that house, buddy, I'd kick that TV on, one of those things that play Pandora, you know. I'd have Leonard Skinner blaring out there and I'd be going in the morning. But Lori would come out of there and my day would be ruined. She is not a morning person. So I had learned to try to kind of if I get up early, just kind of keep it quiet, you know. Just kind of keep it quiet and things go well. So I tell you, you get up and look what they're doing. They're blessing them. He that blesseth his friend. That's all right. That loud voice in the morning, I can't take it. Even though it's a blessing, I still don't want to hear it. So word for the wise. Word for the wise there. Proverbs 27:21. As the fining pot for silver, that's where silver is purified, and gold, as the furnace for gold, so is a man to his praise. Praise can refine you. Praise can bring out the best in you. All right? Proverbs 30 and verse 10. Accuse not a servant to his master, lest he curse thee, and thou be found guilty. You know, sometimes you just need to stay out of other people's business, don't you? And going around another man's servant, and you go to them and talk about that, sir, it might just turn on you, because sometimes it's really not your place to go around trying to fix somebody else's servant like that. Let the master do that. There is a generation that curseth their father, and doth not bless their mother. That's the last one. I want to go back and read this one, though. Let's see, it's in the bulletin. This was the last proverb about words in the book of Proverbs that I found. It's the last one in your bulletin, and I think it'd just be a good one to end on here tonight. It's talking about that worthy woman. She openeth her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the law of kindness. What an ideal to strive for. That worthy woman opens her mouth, and it's wisdom coming forth. And her words are kind. Wise, kind words. It's a lot better than foolish, hurtful words, isn't it? So let's be careful what we say. We'll guard our tongue if we'll guard our heart. Thus, let me tell you something. I think I was a little older than you when I said a cuss word. And you know, it surprised me. I didn't know I was going to say that word. I was with a bunch of my buddies. We were in the locker room, and I said an awful word. I was just saying, tell it. I wasn't even cussing. I was just telling a story, and in the middle of that, there was this ugly word I said. I went to my daddy and told him I need to go forward in church. And my daddy, he didn't make it easy on me. He said, no, son, you didn't curse at church. You cursed in the locker room. You need to apologize to them. It'd been a whole lot easier to go to church where nobody knew me and knew I'd said it, and I didn't have faith. Next time I was in that locker room, I said, I got to say something to all of you fellas. And I apologized to them. And I tell you, that took it out of me. And they looked at me like I was some kind of nut. I mean, they were using these words all the time. What was that? That just struck them so odd. But I'm glad my daddy made me do that. I resolved not to get in that mess again. And I wondered, why did I even say that word? I knew why I said it. And Gus, there's something you need to learn here. So I said it because I was thinking it. I thought I could say that word in my head and keep it from coming out of my mouth, and I couldn't do it. I was thinking it. And because I was thinking that word, one day, there it went. Bam! So, I knew what I had to do. I just cleared those words out of my thoughts. And it was a struggle to do it. But I said, I'm not going to think those words right now. I tell you, I can make the awfulest mess. And maybe, you talk about hammer hitting your thumb and what you say. I could really hurt myself bad doing something really foolish. And I wouldn't say a single bad word. I'm not bragging there, but I just don't think in terms of bad words. I just don't think in terms of that. I thought, well, I can think them, I just won't say them. No, that's not going to work. Don't even think them. Don't think in those terms. And then you won't have to worry about it slipping out, see? So that's where it comes from. Your words come from your heart. You get your heart right, and your tongue's going to be all right. But it's hard to control that tongue if you don't have your heart right. So that's why we need to pay attention to what God says in the Bible. That's why we need to be at church on Sunday night. That's why we need to be a Christian. Get our hearts right and our thoughts right, and our words and our actions will follow. So if you need to respond to the invitation tonight, you can do it while we stand and sing.